Well, Laurie, the third Folio edition of Macallan.
Yeah, this was obviously the
And what are
third.
these chaps crawling around with snowballs?
Yes. Yeah, so as I say, this was the third release in Macallan's Archival Folio series, first launched 2015, as we've discussed, kind of celebrating the print and press ads of Macallan, the brand, in their sort of infancy in the 70s, 80s and 90s. Folio number 3 is, again, was snapped up very, very quickly by collectors. Not many tastings around. I think it was perhaps 2018, 2019, if I remember correctly. The third in a series of what's going to be 24 releases, which is quite a lot. As I say, very much a collector's item these days. It's not a whiskey that's kind of opened or, very difficult to find tasting notes these days. And for me, it almost poses a question of, is what is in this bottle that we're going to be crazy enough to open in a few minutes, is the contents and the character and the production methods? Do you feel they should be given more attention by Macallan? Are you surprised that there isn't an age statement or anything on the label?
It's a tricky one. You can. Yes, I would like to see an age statement. I would like to see their tasting notes. And there is something a little bit arrogant about just saying, "Look, take it or leave it."
Yeah.
But nevertheless, you can understand from their point of view, judging by the colour, and we haven't yet noticed it, but this will be, I would imagine, quite old stock. This isn't going to be young whiskey, but we'll come to that. We can talk about that when we come to it. I do think it's unfortunate. The Macallan is now so famous as an investment.
Yes.
So far ahead of everybody else in terms of prices achieved at auction. That it's hardly surprising that they embark on a series such as this, for example, or the James Bond series.
Indeed,
series.
James Bond's a very kind of good example. In recent times, we've done collaborations with Bentley as well.
Yes, indeed, yeah.
They kind of, maybe not actively promote, but they encourage being referred to as, the Rolls Royce.
Yes, right.
That's right. Rolex of whiskey.
That's right.
How does it, as a whiskey lover, how does it make you feel to see a brand like Macallan sort of aligning themselves with these
too much associated with things which have nothing to do with whiskey?
Yes,
I like the theme here because there's no doubt at all that the advertising done by Holmes Knight Ritchie, the agency in London that they appointed in '67, I think it was, but it was groundbreaking stuff, and beautifully tasteful, witty. Advertising. Nobody ever seen anything like it in whiskey or indeed in many other products. Yeah. And the very clever, very very tasteful, and so worthy of being remembered and celebrated in this series.
It's lovely. Actually, obviously, for before my time, these original ads, and it's really fascinating to see their humble beginnings and how they first presented themselves as a brand. The label on Folio 3 kind of celebrates the story at the time that whiskey was best made in cold temperatures in the winter.
Oh, really? That's
so
the
we've
theme.
got some, little chaps there playing snowballs with a snowman in the background.
Well, of course, traditionally, whiskey was made in the wintertime. And indeed, so the season would be October to March, April.
Okay.
And then it depended upon the demand, but that was the key time to be making the whiskey. And indeed, I've met people who, especially when they had the old-fashioned worm tubs, where they could tell whether the spirit had been made in the summer or the winter.
Yeah.
Because the winter, the water in the worm tubs was very much colder, and so the liquid would condense very quickly. So it tended to be heavier. It was more impure, frankly. But there was not the same exchange of with the vapor and the copper pipe. And so I remember particularly the manager of Dalwhinnie Distillery guessing, winter and summer of his own spirit. Yeah,
That's remarkable. Yeah, I suppose for, talking about the liquid of Macallan, it's known for their curiously small stills and their heavy, oily spirits. So
that's
perhaps
right. Yeah.
winter production is best suited to them.
See, I wonder if this is winter production.
Perhaps, yeah, that'd be a nice link, wouldn't it? But no, this is obviously a whiskey that's not opened very often at all. So it's a great pleasure to be opening it today with you and seeing what it's all about. So without further ado, shall we?
Or pull the cork. Pull the cork.
Let's do it.
It's kind of traditional Macallan colour. European oak, sherry seasoned.
Yeah, bodes well, doesn't it?
Great.
Three quite different ones.
They are quite different.
Two was very heavy.
Yeah. Again, it's very light caramel top note.
Yeah, feels quite reserved on the nose, this one.
It does. It's not giving too much away to start with. Aye.
It's a little bit citrusy for me, actually, this one. Hints of that.
There's a freshness to it, but I'm also getting that ashy note, this faint, not so much as Folio number 2, but this faint sort of ash.
Okay. Is this the ash that you often find in kind of smoky peated whiskies?
No, it's how would I describe it? It's more mineralic. It's ash as opposed to chalk. But it's sort of nose drying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
it's got these. It has got the traditional sort of Macallan signature of dried fruits.
Yeah, is it malt loaf? Is that your classic?
I'm not getting
not as much malt loaf.
That's my classic tasting note for sort of European oak matured, but it's not coming through strongly. Which is a good thing for me. Yeah, sweetish to start on the nose, and then drying, nose drying. Yeah. So now taste it and see. Very pleasant texture. Again, sweet, follows the nose. Sweet and drying in the back.
Yeah.
With some spice. Light spice, kitchen spice.
Yeah, it feels like it's not, I wouldn't say it's a challenging dram, but there's elements there that can be unpacked. I think other Macallans have just been all sherry and all malt loaf and dried fruits, as you say. This one is a bit more kind of nuanced for me.
Yep. Subtle.
Yeah, which is lovely. I feel Macallan can offer a lot. The spirit they produce is quite unique with their small stills and their heavy spirit. It is always a pleasure to take your time with Macallan.
Well, how would you age that? Do you think it's
that was going to be my next
20 years old? 25 years old?
I would be...
Still quite lively.
I think from a business point of view, I'd be surprised if Macallan were using such aged stock in what is effectively a collector's item. As I say, not many of these are opened and consumed.
But to give them their due, at least they're using good liquids. There's no cheating here. They're very good whiskies.
Yeah. Do we think this is all European oak, or do you think there's perhaps a touch of American oak in there?
I would guess that my first thought of caramel would indicate American oak.
Okay.
So it might be both American oak and European oak sherry, but they make a virtue of this sherry seasoning.
Yes, yeah. This one I think is an outturn of it's just over 2,000 bottles. So probably just a couple of butts and barrels, perhaps married together. For this expression. But it's very, very pleasant. Probably similar to their double cask range, which is obviously all sherry seasoned casks, but European oak as well as American oak. It's not as sherry heavy as, you know, their sherry oak
It's
range.
very easy to drink. It would be. It's the last one we thought I thought was more like a digestif, just sort of coffee.
Folio 2 was much more sort of viscous and.
This is you could drink it at any time really, but sort of afternoon whiskey.
Yeah, it's a very lovely whiskey. I think this one, as I say, is traded very often for maybe £3,000, £4,000, £5,000. For me, if I had that money and I was looking to buy the tastiest whiskey I could, probably wouldn't be my first choice.
Well, fair enough.
But there's complexity to it. There's a nice depth of character to it. Would you say it's unmistakably Macallan, or?
Yes, I think so. I mean, this style,
Yep.
you know, amongst the leading, I mean, Abelard Abuna, not there, Glendronach.
Yes. Yeah.
It's not there.
Yeah.
It shares a bit with Glendronach. For Glendronach, I get this lovely cherry liqueur chocolates.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, dark chocolate and cherry liqueur.
Yeah.
But it's and you sometimes get that with Macallan as well. This cherry liqueur, but it's not on this one.
No.
It's pure Macallan.
Yeah, no, it's great to see that they're putting great whiskey, and yeah, as I say, a real treat to open it and
Lovely.
share
Thank
it
you
with
very
somebody
much
like yourself.
indeed.
So yeah,
Cool.
a pleasure.
Great.